is all, Noah said breathlessly. I went inside to grab Mama's first aid box, and by the time I got back out, Gemma had Malachi seated in the rocker. Gemma gave him the once-over and shook her head so hard I thought it might fly off. I swear, if you ain't a one to push a body into an early grave, your poor mama's gonna lose her ever-loving mind. Along with his younger brother and sister, Malachi lived down by the tracks with his widowed mama, as the man of the house, so to speak. He'd taken up being friends with Luke Talley some 2 years back, when they'd both worked for the tobacco plant, and they'd remained close even though Luke had struck out on his own building furniture. Malachi was never one to keep his peace, a fact Gemma had no patience for, and she made it good and clear many a time. Today would be no exception. "Going around stirring up trouble every which way," she murmured as she pulled fixings out of the first aid box. "It's one thing to pick fights with your own kind. Can't say as though you wouldn't benefit by a pounding or two every now and again, but this fooling around with white folks'll get you into more than you bargaining for." The man who'd helped Noah shoulder the burden of Malachi reached out to take the gauze from Gemma. "Why don't you let me get that?" Gemma didn't much like being told what to do, and she glared at him. "I can clean up cuts and scrapes. I worked for a doctor past 2 years." Malachi nodded toward the man. "This here man is a doctor, Gemma." I was putting iodine on a piece of cotton, and I near about dropped it on the floor when I heard that. Never in all my born days had I seen a colored man claiming to be a doctor. Neither had Gemma by the looks of her. "A doctor?" she murmured. "You sure?" He laughed and extended his hand to her. "Last I checked, Tal Pritchett. Just got into town yesterday. Gonna set up shop down by the tracks." Still dumbfounded, Gemma handed the gauze to him. "What do you think about that?" Malachi grinned, and then grimaced when his split lip made its presence known. "A colored doc in Calloway. Shoo-wee! There's gonna be talk about this." The doctor went to work cleaning up Malachi's wounds. "I ain't here to start no revolution. I'm just aiming to help the colored folks get the help they deserve." "Well, you're gonna start a revolution whether you want to or not." Malachi shut his eyes and gritted his teeth the minute the iodine set to burning. "Folks in these parts don't much like colored folks setting themselves up as smart or nothing." Gemma watched Tal Pritchett like she was analyzing his every move, finding out for herself if he was a doctor or not. I stood by and let her assist him, as she'd been accustomed to doing for Doc Mabley until he'd passed on 2 months ago. After Tal had bandaged up Malachi's right hand, she seemed satisfied that he was who he said. Noah slumped into the other rocker and watched. It's one thing to get yourself an education and stand for your right to make something of yourself. It's another to go stirring up trouble for the sake of stirring up trouble. "I ain't doing it for the sake of stirring up trouble. I done told you that." Malachi flexed his left hand to test how well his swollen fingers moved. "Ain't no colored man ever gonna be free in this here county, in this here state, in this here world, unless somebody starts fighting for freedom." "Slaves was free decades ago," Noah said sharply. "We ain't in shackles no more." "But we ain't free to live our lives as we choose, neither. You think colored people are ever going to be more'n house help and field help so long as we let ourselves be treated like less than white people? No, sir. We're less than human to them white folks. They don't think nothing about killing so long as who they're killing is colored." "Don't you go bunching all white people together, Malachi Jarvis," I argued. "Ain't all white folk got bad feelings about coloreds?" Malachi waved me off in exasperation. "You know I ain't talking about you, Jessilyn." Noah had his hands tightly knotted in his lap and was staring at them like they held all the answers to the world's problems. "All's you're doing is getting yourself kicked around." He looked up at me pleadingly. "This here's the second time in a week he's come home banged up." I put a hand on Noah's shoulder and set my eyes on Malachi. "Who did it?" He put his bandaged right hand into the air, palm up. "Who knows?"